Hi, this is Historical Fire News, and I am Amira Grant Lawrence. With this weekend being Memorial Day weekend, it seems appropriate to take a look back at the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire, which occurred in Southgate, Kentucky. The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire is the third deadliest nightclub fire in the U.S. history. It occurred on the night of May 28, 1977, Memorial Day weekend, 33 years ago. 165 people died, and over 200 were injured as a result of the blaze. The Beverly Hills Supper Club had opened in 1971 and was a glamorous night spot with crystal chandeliers and spiral staircases, a place unlike anything else in northern Kentucky. Even on the weekdays, women would enter in full-length gowns and diamonds, escorted by men in tuxedos. It was a major attraction, drawing headline talent from Las Vegas, Nashville, Hollywood, and New York. That night's entertainment was popular Hollywood singer and actor John Davidson. More than 3,000 guests and staff were inside the club on the evening of the fire. The main show was in the Cabernet Room, and it was estimated that over 1,300 people had been squeezed into the room. There were so many people that some guests had been seated on ramps leading onto the stage. There were several events going on that night. Elsewhere in the club, people were enjoying their meals and drinks, and upstairs functions were taking place as well. The fire began sometime between 8:30 and 9 o'clock p.m. in the Zebra Room, which had hosted a wedding reception earlier. It began behind a wall and quickly spread throughout the club, feeding on flammable furniture, tapestries, and decorative paneling. The fire was discovered around 9 o'clock p.m. by a waitress. The fire department was called, and attempts were made to control the fire with extinguishers, but it was too late. In a span of minutes, a warm, gorgeous Saturday turned into a tragedy. At 9:08 p.m., a busboy interrupted the show in the Cabernet Room, taking the stage to ask people to leave and pointing out the exits to the left and the right of the stage. Some of the spectators obeyed and began to leave the Cabernet Room through the exits. The room was full of cigarette smoke anyway, so some people were not alarmed. The fire burst into the Cabernet Room at 9:10 p.m., followed by thick smoke that spread all over the room, quickly engulfing it. Lights went out. Doors were too narrow for the volume of people trying to pass through. Those who had not evacuated quickly panicked. Chaos broke loose. The Southgate firefighters were on scene and could help the people that had made it outside, but realized that entering the building would hamper the escape efforts. Many of the people would be found dead, piled up near the entrances. Every fire department in Campbell County had responded to the alarm. Additional rescue resources had been dispatched from 24 other departments, some from distances of 60 miles away. Firefighters concentrated on the Cabernet Room, where it was known that many people were trapped, but at midnight the roof had collapsed and authorities doubted any more survivors would be found. The fire raged through most of the night, and the following day the club was but a charred skeleton. A total of 32 ambulances had carried away the injured, and 522 firefighters and rescue workers were on scene. A temporary morgue was set up in the nearby Fort Thomas Armory. The cause of the fire was never completely determined, though it is thought that the use of aluminum wiring may have been contributed. Much has changed in the 3 decades since the Beverly Hills fire. Now there are tougher fire code enforcements. There are a lot that we take for granted. Sprinklers, well-lit exits, well-designated hallways, strict inspections, flame-retardant products, and smoke detectors. We're going to take a look at how this devastating fire has changed the fire codes today. Overcrowding. The seating for the Cabernet Room normally held around 675 people. It was estimated that the occupancy on the night of the fire was well over 1,300. That's double. Most Beverly Hills victims died in the overcrowded Cabernet Room. By morning, workers had pulled 134 bodies from that one site. Today, room capacities are clearly posted in public spaces. Inadequate fire exits. Full occupancy of the entire complex was estimated to be roughly 2,750 people, which under Kentucky's law would require 27.5 exits. The club only had 16.5 exits, many of which were not clearly marked or were locked. Some exits could only be reached by passing through 3 or more interior doors and corridors. Once the fire started, there wasn't adequate warning. This caused bottlenecking as the people were trying to flee through the inadequate number of exits. Many victims perished in the dead ends after becoming lost. There were stacks of victims in the front of the exits. Now, exit signs have to be illuminated with battery backups. Faulty wiring. Fire officials said faulty aluminum wiring was to blame for the blaze, which resulted in a shift to copper alternatives. Old-style aluminum wiring is gone. Lack of firewalls. This allowed the fire to spread and in addition allowed it to draw oxygen from other areas in the complex. Poor construction practices. The club had been built with inadequate roof support, no common ceiling space, and highly flammable components. Many Beverly Hills furnishings easily burned, releasing toxic gases. Major changes have been made in carpets and drapes to make them less flammable. Building materials and contents must now be fire rated. The Beverly Hills Club had no fire sprinklers in their 65,000 square foot building. If there had been sprinklers in the building, they would have come on immediately, the fire alarm would have gone off, and there would have been a quicker response, and people would have started leaving earlier. It wasn't required to have sprinklers in 1977, however, that would not be the cause today. All these changes have added costs to buildings and contents, however, it's a small price to pay. Today, only trees and a cracked driveway remain. Nothing has ever taken the club's place. Former employees erected a cross where the club once stood. And thank you so much for watching Historical Fire News, and have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend.